Hi everybody. So for today's video, I thought I would show you a different layout that you can use for your Hobonichi, and also a system, a to-do list system that I've used that has really worked well for me as far as increasing my productivity and then also reducing my anxiety. So let's get started. So as you know, that this is usually my layout for my Hobonichi, but there is a different way that you could sort of match up, arrange your weeks so that it has a little bit more freedom to do different things with it. So it's not so compartmentalized to different categories like I usually do, but it's a little bit more simple and a little bit more straight to the point. So this is what it looks like. I usually will still have on the left side, certain categories like my goals for that week, anything that's upcoming for the next week that I have to keep in mind. I tend to put it here. So major events, things I have to do, major to do things that are due, I put here. But as you can see, you will see that in here, so if you look at work, I've changed the numbers. I've written out my numbers for my times. It's still from 7 to 1900, but it pushes up your time frame to the top so that you can do a little bit more at the bottom. So this kind of it changes the way that your Hobonichi layout looks, but it doesn't really look that messy because the numbers on the original layout is so small that you can write over them and no one would even notice that they were there in the first place. So you could, this is sort of pushing up your agenda items or your actual schedule, your hourly schedule to the top, and then leaving the bottom for other things that you want to do. So typically I would have different categories. So I would have family, I'd have self, I would have work and school. But this is a different layout where you could do your major tasks list, and then below that is going to be for whatever it is that you want to do. So for example, here you could do some journaling, some quotes that you collect, some different things. Just, a little bit more freedom to do whatever you want for the bottom. For those of you that don't necessarily need all the categories that I use, and want a little bit more freedom to design your weekly layout to however you want to do. And you can switch this. You could, put this more closer to the agenda part and then push the task list to the bottom. But the task list, as you can see, is a little bit different from what I normally do or what you've seen in my past journals. But I do use this task list typically at work when I really want to be very productive. And I've been trying to incorporate this into my planner system so that I can get more stuff done in a day and not feel so anxious, but also set realistic goals for myself. And I will talk a little bit about that once I finish showing you just the overall layout. So it's a little bit more simple than my previous layouts, which is what you've seen here. It's a little bit more categorized. This has worked really well for me, so I've stuck to this, but I've done this in the past, and this has also worked pretty well, especially for weeks where I don't necessarily have a lot of things for my family. So if it's a vacation time, or I don't have a lot of things for work or school, or I'm on break from school, and during the holidays there's not a lot of things to do for work, then this is a good layout to kind of use because you don't really need to categorize your life as much. But let's get started on how I sort of divvy up my to-do list. And so I call this the 1, 2, 3 to-do list. And I adopted it from another blogger who had posted about a 3, 5, 6 to-do list. And basically it's super simple. So 1, 2, 3, I minimized it down to 1, 2, 3 because I felt like that was more doable for me. You can change this. You can make it 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. or whatever sequential numbers you want to do, but the concept is pretty much the same. So you basically assign one task that takes the longest to do for that day. So typically for me, that would be any task longer than an hour to complete, and then 2 tasks that take more than 30 minutes to complete, or between 30 to an hour, and then 3 tasks that take less than 30 minutes to complete, or between 0 to 30 minutes. So for example, put that here. So for example, this is the Monday. So my 1, which is one that's going to take the longest, is work on IRB. And typically IRB, formulating a protocol for a study is going to take many hours, sometimes days. And so that's one thing that I would spend a lot of time on and I want to get done. So that's going to be the priority. And then 2 tasks, so reviewing QA paper, reviewing qualitative paper, that's going to take between about 30 to 1 hour, not that much time. And then the little things like loading the laundry, reading to my kids, cleaning the bathroom, that's going to take between 0 to 30 minutes or less. And then that's all I do for that day. So as long as I accomplish all of these things, then I feel way more productive than having a huge list of to-do lists without being able to prioritize what needs to get done that day, and then also understanding which ones take the longest, which ones take the least. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll tackle the bottom first. So I'll do all of the things that take the least and then save the very last one for the last to-do list for that day, because I know that that's going to suck up most of my time. That's going to probably eat into all of these other things that I need to get done. And then it goes on from there. So every day there's a 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. So it's just 5 things to do for that day, but prioritize based on how long it takes, and minimizing as well the number of items that you want to do for that day that takes up a lot of time. And I find that this really helps to keep me on track, and then keep my anxiety kind of down as far as having too many things on my to-do list, but at the same time getting me to really think about what needs to get done first, what are the 2 things that need to get done second, which ones take the longest, which ones take the least longest. And I feel that it's a pretty good system for anyone to use, and it's super simple. It's sequential. You can customize it however you want. You can even make the time frames a little bit more or less depending on sort of what you require for your life. But it is a pretty good system, and it's worked well for me. So I hope you find it useful. And so if you have any questions, feel free to comment, leave a message, and have a good day.